too, so at least I've got that to keep myself happy for a while.
Like seeing Correa get a little revenge on the Astros the other day.
Okay, so
Yeah, well, time has reached for our October 9th meeting at 4:30 p.m. Welcome everybody to the meeting. Roll call, please.
Shigami is excused. Hardinger,
Here.
Hubbard,
here,
Guerrero,
Here.
Mumper is excused.
Thank you. Is there any public comment for us today? All right. Approval of the 9/11/23 public work minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
By Hubbard, second by Hardinger. Any comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. CIP update.
Yes, the main items, Weston Ave is still ongoing. Did hit some rock a little west of County Road J, which I have change order here in the packet later on the agenda. For the Alderson to Birch project, MSA indicated that the wetland delineation would be completed here in October and the right-of-way plat finished up. So we'd be able to start finalizing those plan sets for construction for next year. We have our public information meeting for East Jelnik and Von Kennel tomorrow night here in this building. And I guess just I guess we had our initial kickoff meeting with Becker Hoppy too for the Fuller Street reconstruction last week. So their sub-consultant Taddy was indicating starting some of the intersection study work this week. That's still a go. All right, Matt's nodding yes. There's I guess like the list of the other projects in here. I guess only other one to highlight maybe is a well 7-8. We had the generator training and startup last week. Still waiting on the FRP doors for the chemical rooms to be installed. So the doors are kind of the major hang up on getting that well going at the moment. So I guess once the doors arrive, we should be good to go there. But it sounds like we don't necessarily have a good date from the door supplier to Ellis as far as when they're gonna be ready to install those. So, but yeah, I don't know. That's kind of the run through of the CIP, kind of the immediate action items there. So, if anybody has any questions, otherwise there's a table in the back too that kind of puts it all on one page.
Thank you for that. I like seeing that breakdown. It's helpful for my brain to process all that. Does anybody have any comment on the CIP update?
No, I do not.
Nope.
Street operations update.
I apologize. I did not bring Matt with me, so I'll have to read it off of there. Basically, we're trying to tie up a lot of loose ends. We've got a lot of our wedging done for the year. There's still odds and ends to do. Next week, we're going to start with a brush and leaf pickup, which will take 5 people, and that's going to run for a month. So it's going to be interesting. So it'd be nice if the weather would hold a little bit. We've got concrete to pour in places and stuff. Just try to keep up and tie everything up before November hits, because once she gets cold, we're switching into winter gear. So that's really about the gist of it all. I'm not going to bore you with everything that's been happening. Street maintenance contracts, I threw that in there. Just we're waiting for one more overlay to be done out by Mockmuller Park, Quentin Street, which runs from Creel Drive out to Ross. American was supposed to get it done last week, but evidently it didn't happen. So Portage County is in. They started today, center lining roads. And then we have some other stuff too. We're going to be putting down City of Wausau, actually DPW helped us out a little bit, but we're about thermoplastic. It's where you have arrows like out here on Camp Phillips Ross, coming up to Camp Phillips, instead of just paint, you heat them up with a torch and they glue them down, and Gordy and Chris up the city use them quite a bit. They're a little bit more expensive than epoxy paint, but they last forever. So that's gonna be a little bit of a new thing for us to try out, but I'm sure it'll work out really well. There's a bid opening Thursday morning at 8:30 PM. We've got about 2,700 ton, I'm guessing at, of recycle that we're gonna end up crushing. And we've got 4 people that took out the packets right now. So we'll see where that comes in. And then also with the rock off of Weston Avenue, whatever they take out from the road, we want to crush that, make breaker run into that. So, and then if you scroll down a little bit more, it kind of shows as far as our Fall Street maintenance prioritization. This is, we want to get all the painting wrapped up in a thermoplastic. We got some of the concrete storm sewer inlets. We want to hopefully get some paper patches done too on Birch Street. We'll see what the weather does as far as everything. Some culvert work to do, so it's gonna be busy right up until the snow hits, like always, so. Any questions at all on streets?
No,
That's about all I've got.
All right, utility operations update.
We had some of our miscellaneous well maintenance items up there at the top, some normal leak repairs and other tubing issues. Some of the other items, we're prepping for some of our retrofit hydrants. You guys went around to the ones we're gonna be retrofitting and loosen them all up so they can be going to get them work done. I believe October 26th, they're gonna be in town to do, I think 6 or 8 hydrants. Continuing to do our EPA PFAS sample collection. We completed our lead and copper sampling. Should be getting the results fairly soon. Got to get those results back out to the residents. Our hydrant maintenance continued, and along with that, we'll be, with the weather changing here, we'll be getting to some of our non-draining hydrants, getting any water out of those. And the sewer side, we have our miscellaneous lift station stuff. There was a number of repairs we had to do on our stations over the last month or so. Main thing is our sewer jetting is continuing. I think we should be able to wrap that up here this week. Once we wrap up the sewer jetting portion of our maintenance, we'll be jumping on to cleaning the lift stations. So that should hopefully be able to start next week. On our SCADA stuff, I don't really have a firm idea of what's going on with the SCADA side of the project with our SCADA and fiber. They were supposed to start last week. I don't know if they're still kind of getting some things together. The fiber optic portion of this project is now scheduled to start, I believe, a week from today on the 16th. Then we just have some miscellaneous stuff for the digger stuff our utility guys took care of, some work orders. Thanks to Stacy, we've had a number of work orders our guys have got to do for some non-reads. A lot of MXU and initial setup issues that we experienced from some previous accounts that were set up. So Stacy's continuing to do quite a good job of finding some errors in the system. Other than that, some of the miscellaneous stuff I've already touched on. Water main flushing was completed, sanitary sewer jetting. It's continuing hydrant maintenance, some of the contract stuff. I guess we still have on here the Cedar Creek Interceptor project. I think we need to probably revisit that yet again down the road here. I know Mike was talking to some other people to help us out, but we might need to change gears on that one. Michael touched on well 7 and 8. Our meter pit project, I believe we'll start at Stillwater Landing, and I think they're gonna get out there. I think they said Thursday. I think their digger's ticket didn't clear until Tuesday or Wednesday, so I believe they're gonna be starting at Stillwater on the meter pit portion of, or the meter pit project. I guess the last bit, we've been waiting for some hydrant painting to get done. That was awarded last year to Ferguson. I've talked to some other outfits that could do some work, not this year, but get it scheduled for next year. So I contacted Ferguson that we're not gonna give them the work since They said they would give me a schedule of when we'd get it done on July 17th, and I haven't heard anything, and so that's gonna be taken from them. And after that, we just have some of our numbers for customers and water pumped and wastewater flows and lift station hours.
Perfect. Anything else?
I have.
Gentlemen, any questions?
No, I do not.
All right, we'll go on to the 2024 preliminary public works budget.
All right, so I put some of this together for finance committee, middle of September, and figured I should share with you guys too. As we talk about public works, we got our almost 119 miles of road, over 50 pieces of equipment, over 111 miles of water main, about 103 miles of sanitary sewer, and 71 miles of storm. So we have quite a lot of infrastructure in the ground that we're responsible for. As we talk about public works budget, from the budgetary standpoint, that is the general fund, our tax dollar fund, and kind of our shared revenue. So not the utilities, but everything but the sewer, water, storm utility. One of our big revenue sources is our state transportation aids. So this is kind of a graph of the village's aids from 2000 through now. Our peak was in 2011 at about 1.25 million. This past year, we were at 638,000, so about $610,000 less than what we were 12 years ago. Let me close that for you.
No, I'm fine.
Just staring into the sun. So the way that's the transportation aids calculated is they take your 6-year average cost. Then the state has a formula for the share of cost percentage. And you multiply your 6-year average cost by that percentage, which should give you your annual payment. There's one other way you can get paid, that's through the rate per mile. So if you take our 118 miles times the $2,734, that would have given us a $323,500 versus the share of cost, which is $775. The caveat is you can't get more than 115% of your previous year's aid payment. So as you go up and down that line, if you spend less, you can get no less than 90% of the previous year. But if you start spending more rapidly, you can only get 115% of the previous year. So by hitting that cap, 115% of the previous years was 638. So our adjusted amount is that 638,000 for this 2023 year, which was 137,356 less than what it would have been if there wasn't a cap. So it kind of regulates how quickly you can go up. It also helps how quickly you can go down. So that was our payment in 2023. So knowing that we're kind of hitting that 115% threshold, we're estimating that our 2024 payment would be $734,000, which is still $514,000 less than we had in 2011, but or at least on the upward trend again. So the spending does lag. For those of you, I guess I'm probably the only one here that was with the village for this long now. But in about 2010, 2011, the village kind of stopped spending. The economy was going down, and the thought was we don't want to burden our taxpayers with additional borrowing and continuing projects. So projects such as the Crestwood Acres neighborhood and was put on hold. There was an engineering contract actually in 2010 for that, but that project then got delayed in 10 years because of just not wanting to take on new projects. So on one side, that was, yeah, we're not going to take on new debt. We're going to take it easy. But when we don't take on projects, the state then doesn't give us money for that either. Yeah, so that's where that downward trend started, and then in about
Snowballs after that.
yeah. So then in 2019, when we started projects again, it took, what was that 2022, 2021? So it took a few years for that then to start going back upward. So the goal long-term is to try to figure out what is that sustainable level of spending so that we don't, you know, kind of have this roller coaster, we kind of just have a flat plateau. So,
Jessica able to kind of give you a good idea what that balance is year to year, cap and everything.
yeah, I guess that's what I work with her on is figuring out where we're at.
Makes sense.
You know, as we spend money on our TIF projects, like Weston Avenue, this building, you know, those are all capital expenses that are gonna be impacting this trend line moving forward. It's just,
27 or 8. When does that start? The TIF cuts out, is it 30 or 28?
our expenditure period is 2026.
6.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's the monies you spend, so like the money we spend here in 2023. It'll impact us starting in 2025 through 2031, because it's a 6-year average cost that you spend on your public works. So your streets, your buildings, your equipment. So,
So she's got a 6-year average for what it usually is annually.
yeah, so the state keeps track of that, so as we report it. And we'll be, the main thing is once you know you're starting to hit that decline.
Yeah.
Making sure that we're prepared for that so that we don't have the massive dips that we experienced a decade ago.
Right.
So,
Did the state draw theirs back at all during that session? Or are they still kind of divvying out the same?
So you might have missed as you're walking in here. No, that's fine. So the transportation aids are based on a 6-year average.
Oh, okay, okay.
So in the village, we cut back spending in about that 2010 period. So our 6-year average spending went, you know, probably from about $4 or $5 million a year down to say $2 million a year. So as you cut back on that spending, the state says, well, you're not spending this money on your streets, so we're gonna give you less money to maintain your streets.
Okay, so just so I understand, so they'll take that year and that's the average they're gonna give you for the next 6 years?
They take the last 6 years, so
Yeah.
like the 2023 aids were calculated on the average from 2016 through 2021.
Here's what I found.
Gotcha now. Okay.
So yeah, so it's a kind of a delayed by a year, six prior year average.
Okay, I got it now.
But then, like I said, they cap you at 115% then of your previous year or 90% of your previous year if you're going up or down.
Does inflation impact that at all, or just take the number?
So they do change the share of cost percentage annually. Honestly, this really hasn't impacted us over the last 12 years because we've either been only at 90% the previous year and falling, or we've been over 115% and getting capped out.
I was just curious if they accounted for that at all.
Yeah, so when you hear the state say that they're adding to the transportation aids, generally it's the percentage that they're increasing or the rate per mile that they're increasing. But,
Thank you, Michael.
yep. So I want to go through the revenue portion there. So our main categories that we spend are street maintenance, our winter maintenance, traffic control, so the signalized intersections. The state has 3 signalized intersections in the village. That's at Business 51 and Jelnik, and then the 2 State Highway 29 on-ramps at Camp Phillips or County Road X. Everything else is a village-owned signal, so anything along Schofield Avenue or Camp Phillips, really, except for the 2 right at the overpass. And then our street lighting. So if you kind of look at the last 4 years here. So our operating budget has generally been about 2.1 million. This coming year, we have a proposed increase of another 120 or 140,000. You know, if you look at our main categories, our summer street operations is 1.3, winter maintenance, our snow plowing, our salt, and about a little over 500,000, and street lighting's a little over 200,000. So those 3 categories is 92% of our budget. So
With the street lighting, that's an average, and is that replacing just,
that's just our energy cost for street lighting.
that's your energy cost, that's not maintenance?
No, well, it includes some maintenance, but most lights that the village owns. We own the systems on Schofield Ave, from Normandy to Birch, and then around the hospital, and like Weston Avenue area there, and then on Community Center Drive and Barbican. Otherwise, everything else in the village is a WPS streetlight system. So we pay them whatever, like, is it $15 a light, something like that?
Annually. And they do the,
And they take care of the maintenance on that. But
Monthly, right?
monthly, yeah.
$15 a light monthly.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's where the majority of our cost is in the WPS, you know.
If we have a project that involves replacing lights, that would be included in that project, and the maintenance wouldn't be a part of the street lighting.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, some of those we've talked about if we,
So the most part, that's almost like a fixed cost, really.
it's pretty much a fixed cost, yeah. It doesn't vary
I
much.
know the very, but the other two vary depending on, well, especially with winter.
Yeah,
Summer street operations, that gives you basically your budget annually for us to account for.
correct,
And that doesn't include utilities, right? That is, Josh?
correct. Yep, this is just strictly the general fund, our non-utility funds.
Okay. Yeah, because it's paid off, so.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is a little more, just kind of detailed that, I mean, the dollar change really is, you know, looking at using that $95,000 increase in transportation aids and putting that back towards street maintenance. That's really the main change, then some wages and I think some health insurance costs, but for the most part, the main change between 2023 and what's being proposed for 2024 is about $100,000 more for street maintenance. So that's more overlays,
That
Ceiling.
account for any sort of inflation or wage changes or anything like that?
yeah, so then the rest of the difference, the rest of that 7% increase is wages and health insurance increase, you know, kind of increases there.
Pretty solid numbers then.
Yeah, it should be pretty close. I mean, these are the numbers that the board was given as part of the budget workshop 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, but just wanted to bring it to the committee too. You know, so our street maintenance focus is always tried to be proactive versus reactive. You know, trying to seal over that street with a little bit of cracking versus waiting for it to completely fail and we're digging up essentially clay that's poked through.
And just curiosity, the DOT uses like a grading system for their highways. Do we use the same thing for the city streets?
Yeah, we have a 1 through 10. We have to do a PACER rating and actually submit it to the state every 2 years.
Okay, 'cause I think usually it has to be between a 6 or a 7.
So yeah, a good road is generally a 7 and above. I can skip ahead here.
We don't have to, I was just,
No, that's fine. Yeah, so I guess on this slide, you know, we talk about the treatment type. So a rejuvenator, so it's the kind of the asphalt sealant that we have on Ross Avenue just over here. You know, so that's generally a road that's a 7 to a 10.
this is a high traffic road.
Just no, 7 to 10 is the rating of the pavement.
Right, but the reason it's kept at that level is because of the traffic,
As far as the
keeping it at that.
condition of the road,
Yeah,
we try to keep those roads in better condition just because of the traffic, yeah. I guess we've taken the stance that our arterial, our collector streets, we want to keep at a higher rating just because they are the more heavily traveled roads.
that makes sense.
Whereas, you know, so as you, I guess the point of this is you can rejuvenate a road, you can spray it, you know, for $1.10 a square yard. You can chip seal a road for $2.10 or overlay a road for $9, or if we have to do a complete reconstruction, it's, you know, $85 a square yard. So there's a lot of maintenance you can do if we're proactive about it versus waiting for something to fail and have to completely reconstruct it.
Well, then of course, it's one of those larger roads, you gotta worry about shifting traffic and everything else, the time that goes into it.
Yeah. So I guess that's kind of the philosophy behind it, is trying to keep our good roads good and get the bad roads up while we can. So this was just kind of a historical cost comparison, so. What, 14
Actually
years?
hasn't gone up that much since 2009.
Yeah, the hard part was is our street maintenance budget stayed the same for many years.
Yeah.
So when you have the same amount of monies allocated, but
You gotta decide which roads you're actually gonna work on.
yeah, you go from being able to get almost 5 miles of roads done to about 2.5 miles. It starts to eat at you there, so.
Right.
So yeah. So again, just kind of our miles maintained over the years.
How many miles does Village of Weston have?
We have 118.8,
18
that's center line miles. So
non-paved, or paved, I'm sorry. It's all paved.
it's all of our streets. So the only non-paved streets we have is what, a half a mile on Jones and
Wesnick.
Wesnick, which is
Kamichik.
maybe another half mile. And then Kamichik and East Nick.
Yeah.
Is that maybe 2
Mostly
miles?
paved.
Yeah, I'd say we probably have at least 115 paved miles. So then when it comes to plowing, we usually talk about 320 lane miles. So like a mile on Weston Avenue or a mile on Schofield Ave, right? Is 1 mile. So that's four lanes,
Yeah.
but it's only 1 mile. So when we plow, we consider each lane mile.
lane.
So that'd be 4 miles of 4 lane miles.
Right, because you can't hit it all with one.
Yeah.
Okay.
1 mile of road.
Does that total street reconstruction cost of $85 a square yard, does that incorporate utility replacement, or is that just for the building of the road?
That's the building of the road, including new base, Common X, engineering costs.
Would the utility, Josh, that cost on that? Or would that? be-
Yeah, so every year when we have a street project, we break out the project cost and allocate it based on if it's a street cost, a sewer cost, a water utility cost, a storm sewer cost. So yeah,
So it's built into that development or that project, what that cost would be, all the separate parts of it.
yeah, so like when we bid a project, right, you have, a fire hydrant costs X dollars. When it comes to a pay application and they installed 5 fire hydrants, that comes out of the water utility portion.
Yeah, because you guys aren't installing that stuff, you're doing maintenance for the most part.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so everything gets allocated at the end of the year. So that's where that $85 cost came from, was a couple of the projects last year that finished up. That was what the average cost for a street. Is that a mile of street I had? Square yard, so yeah.
I had a question, Josh, does the county do the utilities, or when they do those projects, do they do the same thing that we do? Or do they have like a utility department that's able to install all those?
The county doesn't have utilities.
That's my question.
Yeah, yeah, so like anything on County Road X here is Village of Weston Utilities. It's our water main, our
Okay.
sanitary sewer.
They don't, yeah, okay, so not a part of that, that makes sense, okay.
And I don't know
they
if
had,
any
like-
communities, does Ed County have any
I have no idea.
Oh, yeah, I don't think
I was
so.
kinda
What?
curious.
utility, like water?
Yeah, they don't have water and sewer.
They don't have signal lights either.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they kind of take the stance that they have the drive aisles. So even if you want a right turn lane and some of those things, they'll generally say that's on the local municipality to pay for, because they're responsible for the through lanes.
Yeah, I know they have this huge highway department, I don't know if they had any utilities as part of it or not. I think it's like 700 some miles in the county that they maintain through their highway department. It's a
It's
lot.
over 600 on the center line, and then there's 800 lane miles of state road they maintain for the DOT.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So no, that's just something I update every year as far as where our street spending is compared to our neighbors. So looking at, Marshfield, Rothschild, Rapids, Point, Clover, down through Croninwetter, we're generally on the lower end of our street maintenance cost per miles, that money spent per mile of roadway. So I always say, I think it shows that we do quite a bit with the amount we have. It's one of those struggles where we don't necessarily have the shared revenue or the ability to generate a lot of new revenue, like some of these other communities have, so, yeah. I think we're like 14th out of these communities in revenues or shared revenue, so being 13th out of, right, 13th lowest, 13 out of 15, so we're kind of on that low end, you know. In an ideal world, we'd be average, which would give us about another $1 million a year, which I think just, it's not possible. Jessica always says it's not possible. I'm like, that's fine, but it's nice to know what that would look like.
So in an ideal world, it'd be nice to have that extra $1 million.
It would be great. So like when the state came through with the latest shared revenue formula, I actually had a back and forth with Representative Spiros's office, because the city of Marshfield was getting more money per capita than the village of Weston. They already get, I think it's, I don't know, I don't want to misquote myself here, but say we get $50 a person, they already get $75 a person. And then when the new money came out, we got maybe another $10 per person, they got $15 per person. It's like, well, you guys, you're giving the rich keep getting richer. Like, yes, we're getting something, we're getting a little bit more towards our streets, but just our shared revenue in general, but the people that are already getting more per person are getting more still.
Does that have anything to do with their incorporation date versus ours?
Yeah, so a lot of it comes down to when the village incorporated and how the shared revenue formula kind of froze.
Yeah.
You know, so the older the historic communities, they generally have more money. The older cities have more of the shared revenue formula that we do.
They get back to you with any?
No, it was silent. I haven't. But
I'm sure they're hearing from a lot of places.
you know, it was very much like, hey, look at what you got. I'm like, that's great. I'm not saying we appreciate what we got. But maybe if we flipped with Marshfield, just for instance, that would
bring
help.
us up to par with them.
Yeah, you know, I get nobody wants to be winners and losers when you're funding stuff, but even they could have gotten, you know, $10, we got $15. That would have been nice, just to get a little bit more.
But it does surprise me. I mean, sure, there could be some outlying reasons, but when I look at like Rothschild, for example, we have 3 times the road miles that they do, but we're way on the opposite end of the spending.
Yeah, so their shared revenue, they get a lot of money from the power plant. So they get utility revenue money that we don't get. That was a big point of contention when Rothschild annexed that land back in, was it 1990 from the town of Weston?
Why Cronenwetter wanted to.
And probably why Cronenwetter wanted to incorporate and keep part of that power plant, because that is a fairly significant amount of money that those communities get and the town historically got to use for streets, and it was able to keep the rest of your tax rate low because you were having those other funds coming in. So, but yeah, so as I mentioned, we do rate our roads on a 1 through 10 scale. You know, our goal is to average somewhere around a 7, which means our roads are still pretty good. You know, eventually they do deteriorate, and that's where our capital improvement plan comes into play, where if we have a road that's a 5 and falling, but we know we're gonna reconstruct it or repave it in 2 years, we know we don't have to invest a whole lot of money into it because we're guaranteed. And that's where, again, that kind of 8-year window we had, it was tough to kind of figure out what do we do for maintenance, because we didn't have a set plan that we were gonna redo this road. So I
What's
think
your average on a yearly basis?
as far as like
Repaving or,
like miles wise, or
you know, should have got roughly 118 or 115 miles of road.
yeah.
Dan, you would probably know that too.
So yeah, so this year we repaved 3.82 miles, and we overlaid 1.8.
So
So
what's our degradation rating or average then if we're only paving roughly 5 a year and we got 115 miles?
Don't hold your breath.
yeah,
Well, I'm curious, yeah, because
Some of them are really low volume.
Is it?
yeah, that's where the the true challenge.
Yeah.
So I guess so in the early 2000s, I'd say from the late 90s through say 2007, roughly half of the miles in the village of Weston were either reconstructed or brand new. Whether it was new roads out in the business park or new subdivisions or reconstructed. So we're hitting about that 20-year mark where some of those streets are starting to.
It's not in our budget to be able to really fix them.
Correct, yeah, so we're trying to do what we can, so that's where a lot of the asphalt wedging and some of that we're doing this year and last year. Just to try to carry that road through for another, 5-6 years before we can get back to it and.
Yeah, because I know the county's got to do roughly 60 miles a year to keep up with the amount of roads that they have with their budget.
Yeah, and they generally have, I think it's a 25-year replacement cycle.
And ours is what, 20 or 25?
We're closer to about a 40 to 50-year replacement, as far as true
Yeah.
pavement replacement.
Last winter was brutal on some of the roads because
Yeah.
of all the moisture.
Yeah, the frost.
It was the freeze-thaw cycles, but
Oh, yeah.
the
It was a
sheer
fast
amount
cycle.
of moisture
Yeah.
is what hurt it.
We saw that with the concrete too, because we had a lot of spalling and a lot of other issues.
Yeah, so if we take like Weston Avenue out of the equation, because that's kind of a unique project. A typical subdivision is about a mile, like the Crestwood Acres project was a mile, the Weston School was a mile. So that's what, not quite 1% of our total system if we do 2 of those projects, maybe 2 of those projects a year give us.
So we're gonna hit a threshold here in the fairly near future where we're not gonna be able to keep up with our roads.
Yeah, I don't want to paint a doomsday. I think.
Well, it's not a doomsday, I think it's a reality thing.
Yeah.
We don't have the budget for it and we're not doing,
Yeah, these past few years, we have been able to
keep up with it.
get that replacement up a little quicker. Where that's where I said like having the transportation aids come up and keep, I guess, keeping on it and not pausing. I don't think we're gonna be I think we'll be okay. A lot of our streets, like I said, are the lower volume. They don't see a lot of the heavy truck traffic. I think
Just those, yeah.
I think those can generally get,
We don't
40.
have the traffic that the highway does.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the Crestwood streets, those were what, about 40, maybe 50 years old. I mean, they got to pretty poor condition at that point, but
They're not highly trafficked.
yeah, so, I mean, if people want to see bad roads in Weston, I can tell you where to look. We just try to hide them. So,
Okay. No, I just, I looked at that and I was kind of curious.
yeah, I mean, ideally, we'd like to be somewhere around, I'd say at least 4 to 5 miles a year. It gets us into that, closer to that 20 to 30.
Percentage range.
And even an overlay, like I look at Callan Avenue, I think we're at 9 years on that overlay. That road was a 3, that was a pretty bad 3 on the rating. And that road is still holding up pretty well. Probably, you just looked at it, is it a 7?
Yeah, that's a 7. 7
So-
or close to an 8 because we just beat it. I just got done doing all the pacer ratings. In fact, I was entering them
Okay.
before this meeting,
Yeah.
so.
So as long as the pavement structure and our drainage is okay, we can get by with an overlay, probably getting us another 10 to 15 years on streets, which is pretty good. So I guess the message is always just we need to make sure we're just keeping up on it because we do have a big slug of streets that are 20, 25 years old right now.
Yeah.
And they're not getting any younger, So like Stonehenge Drive, we repaved this year, Westview Boulevard, Community Center Drive, Barbican, those were all early 2000 streets. So I mean, they hit about 20 years and we're time to be redone, so.
I think it's nice. I know we've talked about this in the past, but if we can find some of those smaller, less intensive projects that we can kind of fit into a capital year, like, oh, we have some room here, let's throw in such and such street and get that done. They might not be pressing, but if it's a right time where we can, get on that, I think that's nice too, so. It's just where the money is for the year, I guess.
Yeah, That's where the applying for grants and, all that other fun stuff.
Well,
comes
I know
into
you're
play.
really good about those grants too.
Even Northwestern, that helped a lot.
Yeah, like
You know.
that came kind of,
Yeah, that came out of nowhere.
That was nice to get that done.
Yeah, so I mean, that was what, little over a mile, yeah. And luckily we had consultants who are willing to help us get that through. Shameless plug over there. So yeah, so I guess, the proactive maintenance, just helps us to make sure we're keeping our good streets good and we all are on the same page, kind of on the priority list of where we're at. So again, having that reliable capital program allows for the maintenance to be done at the right time. And we're not throwing good money at bad roads.
Right.
I guess that's kind of what I had for that overview, unless anybody else has other questions on it.
No, it's really thorough report as always, Michael. Thank you.
All right.
Tom, did you have anything?
Nope, I'm good, thank you.
Excuse.
Thank you, Michael. We'll move on to policy discussions and recommendations. Item number 10, Ross Avenue Metro Drive to Alderson Street Engineering Design Proposal.
So in the packet originally, it just said I'd have something for you by Monday. I sent this out earlier today, so if you didn't see it, I do apologize. We received 2 proposals for this project. One was from Becker Hoppy, partnering with Mead and Hunt, and the other one was from MSA. I guess I met with Mark Hewitt from the city of Schofield on Thursday as we went through the proposals. This is a joint project with Schofield. The north half of this project is in the city of Schofield. The south half is in the village of Weston. We had received a STP urban grant through the DOT for a little over 2.6 million for this project. That's for the construction costs. So the design cost is all locally funded or on us. So we went through it. I guess we couldn't help but notice the cost disparity of about 160,000. 140,000, sorry, I did math wrong. But following up, we're assured by Becker Hoppy that, they've got the scope covered. They can do the project for that cost. There's not gonna be any surprises or additional asks, so.
What did MSA say?
Just they UT process and they put in what they thought they needed.
And we've
And
worked with both of them.
we've worked with both before, yeah.
Kind of surprised me they're that high.
And Becker Happy, they Matt's here in the audience. If you have any questions for him, but similar thing, they've done projects through this program with the DOT before and
Yeah, we've used them.
we've used them before and they're comfortable with their numbers, so that we would recommend as staff to move forward with Becker Happy for the 259,050.
Which one's this on the agenda?
This is number 10.
10?
Yep. So this page isn't in the packet.
Oh, okay.
I sent this out earlier today, sorry. Yeah, so in the packet it says, we didn't have a scoring yet and I just want to do our due diligence and follow up.
The
And make
scoring is
sure.
basically the same between the 2 of them.
It was pretty close, yeah. I mean, the MSA had maybe a little more recent experience or with who they have on staff, but Becker Hoppy is a firm. They've done projects. They have former DOT personnel on staff, so they understand the process. And
Yeah, DOT can be a whole lot of fun.
their sub-consultant, Mead and Hunt, I believe their roundabout designer, it's put on there that he has designed over 200 of them. So he's gone through the DOT process, understands that.
It's Metro to Alderson off of Ross.
It's essentially that stretch from in front of like Greenheck.
Oh, here. Yeah, Alderson, right there. Okay.
Yeah, Alderson and then out towards Metro Drive. So like where you go past like Log Cabin, that's Metro
Yeah.
Drive.
Okay. Where's the roundabout going?
So it'd be at Metro and Ross, and then also Alderson and Ross,
Oh, 2 of them in there.
2 of them,
Well, this is design services for the 2 of them.
correct. Plus then the roadway in between,
Sidewalk out there.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was all part of the grant application that was submitted to the state.
Great. Good. So you need a recommendation from us or a motion from us?
Correct.
Yes.
Sorry.
That's okay. I'm new to
I'll,
this, so go ahead.
I'll make the motion to recommend Becker Hoppy the award for $259,050.
I have a first from Hardinger. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
By Hubbard. Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
I,
Motion carries. We'll go to item number 11, the Bird Street Special Assessment Resolution.
So,
Have quorum with 3?
yeah, we have 5 members, so we need 3.
So as we did a lot of work.
Oh, hey, thanks for showing up.
Yeah, so this is the final resolution for the Birch Street project. Similar to the other ones, we assessed the driveway approaches and then any sanitary sewer and water main items. So I guess the calculated rates, the final rates ended up being slightly less than the estimated rates, so we'd be looking to utilize those. So anybody should be actually getting a slightly lower bill than what their original estimate was. So.
Who did that formula?
That's me. So
So
we,
you budgeted for higher.
correct, yeah, we,
Okay.
usually there's a contingency added in initially and then,
I'd rather do that than the other way.
Yeah.
Good job.
so again, with the driveway aprons, we do be paid back over 10 years right away. The water and sewer assessments would be deferred until connection.
Right.
Similar to what we did for the Apache Lane project. Got the draft report and resolution in the packet, unless anybody has any questions, just looking for a motion to
Recommend the village board approve resolution 2023-016 levying special assessments for driveway approaches, sanitary sewer main and water main infrastructure for the Birch Street reconstruction project.
I'll second.
So a second, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed? Ayes have it. We'll
Go
go,
collective via special assessment 3.
we'll go to item number 12, well 7A change order.
All right, so this is kind of a,
This is Josh's stuff. Isn't it?
can be if Josh wants to talk
I
about
think
it.
Josh wants- it looks like he's really itching to say something.
It's all in Michael's head. He can spill it.
So this is kind of an end of project
Oh, I see.
balancing change order, so it's a deduct of 105,722.40. There are some initial allowances in the contract for the electric and gas utility connections, which ended up not having to be utilized. And also some of the winter condition work that was approved last year came in 21,000 under estimate. There's also some earthwork and landscaping items that came in under original contract value, so
As well as 7 and 8.
correct.
Both of them running or no?
Not yet.
Okay.
Shortly,
Shortly.
sure hope so. There's a door issue.
Door issue,
Yeah,
like.
You
On the
can't
pump
get
house or-
doors,
yeah, we can't get the doors and the door supplier is not,
fire doors.
yeah, they're like the fire rated doors for the chemical rooms.
Oh, a little special doors.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Fire rated from the chemical room. Okay. Waiting for the doors. Yeah. And when are they saying those are gonna be in?
We have a
Ellis
date we
is
got.
not getting good communication from the door supplier.
Is there another supplier they can use?
They're looking into it.
They're looking into it. This isn't something we can get at Menards or something,
I
right?
don't think so.
I'm just
Yeah,
asking.
no, I think they're
It's like
special
singles or
order.
something. Is this a 36? Or is it like,
I think dimension wise, it's fine. I think it's what the material and the rating of it. That's kind of the holdup.
When are they supposed to be
The substantial completion date for the wells isn't, I think it's like December 20th. So they have time before they're contractually obligated to be done, but I know.
completed? They're done with pretty much everything else, ready to start pumping. It's just the doors we're waiting on, really,
Yeah, I think the DNR was asking when they could come do their,
because they gotta sign off on it too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But they can't do that until the doors in place.
well, I think there was some chemical feed piping and stuff, but I
Okay,
think that was
so-
all completed last week, so it's kind of just the doors.
Well, I mean, they're ahead of schedule, we're just waiting for. doors.
yeah, and even securing the building, I think right now it's, plywood kind
Yeah, I
of
saw that,
plastered
yeah.
up, so.
Yeah.
We can't pump water to the system if we don't have a secured site.
Everything else is working, the bathrooms and everything.
Yeah, the water's on, the generator.
He's on. And,
Yeah,
you guys, did you walk through both of them already?
yeah, so each well is kind of, it's a pitless unit, so it's kind of just a, if you go out there, you see like a green dome.
Well, I guess my point is you guys have gone through your checklist, while they're waiting on this thing to make sure there's nothing else we're waiting on once they get the doors.
I mean, not as often as, well, there's really not that much to see once you've been in there a couple times, so yeah, we're just kind of waiting for really to be there with the DNR and the engineers to
Okay.
say when they're
Final
ready.
startup.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
pumping.
There's just no other indication that there's gonna be an issue and
No.
any other issue.
No,
No,
Did you have a question?
I was just wondering if, Joe Jordan's company could, crank out a couple of fire doors.
yeah, that's for the contractor to work out. I mean, we can
make suggestions.
make suggestions. I mean, I told them last week during our meeting, like, are you guys looking out? And they're trying to hold the toes to the fire of their current door supplier because that's who's.
Well, because they had a bid rate for that door when they
Yeah.
put the project in, now they gotta go somewhere else, they're probably gonna pay 20% more.
Yeah,
But are they metal frames Mason did?
yeah.
Are they, well, it's just roughed out or the jams and everything in already for these doors? I'd imagine jams would come with doors, wouldn't they?
Not on a masonry building. It's on a steel door. You mason them right in. So if it's a masonry building, brick or block, they're mudded in as you go. So it's like a Seco steel door frame. So you get the hinge
Because the flash.
configuration has to match with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't change it.
Okay. Yeah,
That's
that
the
makes sense.
issue typically.
Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't know if they did a rough out and hammer drilled them in or what. But the-
No, typically on a masonry building, as you build the wall, the door frame is installed.
But
Yeah.
I've just seen it with
Yeah.
a couple different ways, but.
Yeah.
Okay.
The hang up comes in the doors, I'm sure.
Anything else on that?
Sorry.
No, just trying to get that cleaned up and get the,
It looks nice, this one does down here, I haven't seen the others,
yeah.
looks nice.
All right, any motions?
I'll make a motion to recommend the village board approve change order number 6 for a project deduct of $105,722.40.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it.
Did a nice job, they're ahead of schedule.
yeah, we're getting there.
There were hints at maybe September having this.
I
going,
remember
so-
that.
Yeah, there
I
was.
wasn't gonna bring it up, Josh.
That's what we were told. I think if we had doors, maybe we could.
I mean, they're still, I don't know, but I know they were trying to push to get a kind of a bonus to get done early, but.
Yeah.
Item number 13, Weston Avenue, Ryan to County Road J, water main rock blasting change order.
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier, they hit a rock shelf about 400 feet west of County Road J.
100 feet west of J.
Yeah, so we've got a stretch of water main in there that we're looking to install for the looping on Weston Avenue for the system.
Is that in that like swampish area?
Yeah.
They hit a rock wall or
Yeah, I can get to plan sheets here.
No, it's okay. I'm sorry.
Well, it helps with the description. So we did a few test kind of pit areas to see how deep it was, so. In some spots, the rock was 8 feet deep, and then about 10 feet away from there is about 5.5 feet deep. So the plan would be to blast that water main trench. We did get an estimate for insulating, which was still about $23,000. And at that, our water main would still only have about 4 feet of cover, which just
So
really
what was
weren't
the cost
comfortable
for-
with.
What was the cost for
That
insulation?
was about $26,000 or $23,000.
So it's $23,000 to insulate it. That wouldn't even
And it'd still be shallow, so you still run the risk of
get it. Yeah,
it freezing
Yeah.
at some point, so.
that should be a problem for anybody living out there at that point.
Yeah, I guess our recommendation is to approve the blasting, so we can get the water main installed down at
How
that.
fast can they do that?
They could do it this week.
No kidding. Wow.
I guess full disclosure, I did talk to President Maloney and trustee Zagami and kind of got their input on it. They both indicate they'd be supportive of blasting the rock to keep the project moving.
Well, yeah, we don't wanna hold that up.
So,
Apparently that'll be snow coming soon. According to the weatherman, which he wasn't right last week during the monsoon we got, so.
so we're really looking at this kind of worst case scenario. I think it was a 600-foot stretch would be the 30,000. So the hope is it comes in being less. But
Have we done, so we did some boring.
yeah, so
Did we run
unfortunately,
the rest of that road to see if we're gonna run into this problem again, just to get ahead of.
yeah, the rest of the water mains installed on this phase, so we should be good.
It wouldn't be another issue like this coming up in the rest of the project.
No, next year there might be some spots. There it is, little
We'll
map.
deal with that next year, as long as it's not gonna hold up this.
We're
Yeah.
pretty close to J now, right?
Yeah, so this boring 35 showed rock at 8 feet, or at 8 feet, there was no refusal. So that is similar to. So that was just west of this driveway here.
Okay.
Where it showed it was back at 8 feet, so we're thinking it's just kind of in this spot from where they hit rock. Yeah, what's 1, 2.
Was the soil test not part of the design team?
No, it is, but like I said, we had a boring right here. And what, 100 feet, you know, you don't necessarily bore every 100 feet.
Yeah. So it just happened to not bore in a place that we hit.
Correct, and even like this test pit, you know,
Yeah.
they were 10 feet apart. One, the rock
Yeah.
was 5.4 feet, and the other spot, it was over 8 feet deep.
So it's just, if we just happen to get a sliver of rock somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been on those jobs and you can't, it's a hit or miss. Yeah, it's hard to tell if you get a rock hump in there between, a couple 100 feet, so.
It's just, most people would ask about the soil sample or soil test and why it wasn't an indication that we did something like this.
Right. What's the groundwater? How high is that there?
Right now, it's not present, which is
Okay.
surprising. Otherwise, normally it's like probably 4 feet, 5 feet below
I was gonna say around 5 average.
surface.
Right. Okay.
They did de-water earlier this year, and then it was pretty dry, so it hasn't recharged itself yet.
Cool. Okay. I will move to approve the change order for the rock blasting, estimated cost $29,923.
I'll second.
First and a second, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 14, TMDL.
Dan, how would you describe that rock? Like a blue
Oh.
shale?
Yeah, it's like a bluish gray shale. I talked to one of the contractors that's bidding on the crushing, and he said it is crushable, so we will take everything we can get and crush it into breaker run,
Right.
probably 6-inch minus.
Okay, great.
So at least we'll get something more out
We'll
of
be
it.
able to reuse it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah,
Thank you, Dan.
it's got value.
Yeah. Yeah, so this one is our, I guess our stormwater quality plan model update. So earlier this year, I talked about how we had the, I guess, DNR acceptance of our stormwater plan. That was up through 2020. So over the past 3 years, 21, 22, 23. We've had some new development and redevelopment in the village. So I think it's worthwhile to update our model to understand, what those developments have meant for it. There was an assumption initially that we would have 0.4 pounds of total phosphorus reduced due to redevelopment each year. So I think hopefully we're maybe ahead of schedule. It'd be good to be able to verify that so we can understand what kind of impact those projects have had on our overall phosphorus loadings and what we need to be doing moving forward. I guess for our stormwater utility and our water quality treatment for that. For the utility as a whole, for the village as a whole, really, as we take on other projects.
So they're kind of doing like an assessment.
So they update the model based on, like all these, the Hinter Springs neighborhood, this building, all of our developments and redevelopments that have had and how they've hopefully improved the water quality that should be coming out of there. So
They look at the wells and everything.
yeah, so the DNR would require this every 5 years, I think, just so we can kind of understand the impact that we have doing it. Kind of
Because the information you're gonna get from this is also gonna help you submit for the grants and everything.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, so their estimated contract amount is 19,900.
I'll move to recommend a village board approved contract with Strand Associates for 19,900 to update the village stormwater model.
I'll second.
Second, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Ayes have it. Item number 15, do we have anything for that?
There is nothing attached. So I was working with, Cheryl Schrader with Becker Hoppy on trying to get a proposal together for it. There's some nuances with the easements that are in place in the existing pipeline. And she didn't feel comfortable with the way, with how to proceed. So I guess I'm back to the drawing board a little bit with trying to find somebody who can assist us with that. So I don't have any.
It's table till next month.
So it's tabled till, we get somebody who maybe feels a little more comfortable with utility easements and how amending those looks. So.
Thank you.
Future items, next meeting dates, tomorrow, October 10th, 2023 at 6 p.m. We have a public information meeting here at the Municipal Center to discuss the East Jelinek Von Kennel project. Wednesday, October 25th, 2023 at 6 p.m. We have a public information meeting here at the Municipal Center to discuss Weston Avenue between X and Ryan Street. Is that time set for 6 p.m.?
Yeah, so I guess for both A and B there, those are public information meetings. They're not official meetings of the Public Works Committee, so I guess just so you guys know that it's not a requirement that you be there, but if you want to be there to get the feedback or hear what the residents have to say, certainly are welcome to be there. Then
So you're the one running this meeting.
yeah, so me and generally one of the engineering consultant for the project, we take the notes, if somebody says, hey, I've got a dog fence, can you make sure that's taken care of, or I've got an underground sprinkler system. And,
Yeah.
so it covers a lot of those things, as well as, are you putting sidewalk in? Do I want that sidewalk? So, but yeah, so the Wednesday one on the 25th, that one, I think we have like a 5 to 7 kind of window. So if people want to come in and see the exhibits and maybe talk to the right-of-way consultants ahead of time, because that one, we do have right-of-way acquisition for Weston Ave. So we usually give that one a little bigger window, so there's more time for people who have one specific question to be able to come in and ask that.
And then start your presentation.
And then a quick presentation, 10, 15 minutes, hopefully, generally around 6 o'clock.
And then our next Public Works meeting will be Monday, November 13th at 4:30 p.m. Does anybody have any topics for future meetings?
I do.
Right.
SOPs?
There we go. It's gotta be,
Yeah,
Did you miss it this month?
well, no, we started preparing instead of just slapping one together that's not.
I know you did. I just.
I'm
I would like
working
to see
with,
it on-
we've had so many inspections for like laterals, and so I'm trying to actually get some substantial SOPs that are actually worthwhile instead of, I don't know which ones I put together the last time. I think it was me. that
No,
they
it
had the
wasn't. No, it's a
meetings,
great
so it's-
start. Michael.
So I'm trying to work with the guys now to actually start putting together like our actual well inspections ones, our lift station ones, our
Yeah.
lateral inspection ones to
No, I
actually
mean,
get some of
yeah.
the meaty ones done instead of,
We had I think we're off to a good start.
Yeah.
I mean, Michael went through it and you.
instead of the digger's hotline one, which isn't that big of a deal, but
Yeah, I wanna make sure we stay on it, that's all, and I know you guys. Are really busy now, the summer's kind of winding down a little bit. Might give us a little bit of breathing room before the snow hits,
yeah.
but I just wanna make sure it's something we're keeping to, I guess. Thank you, Josh.
Yep.
Any other topics for future meetings? Remarks from administrator?
Hey, where's the administrator?
A third of the administrator is right here, I guess.
1/3.
I've got nothing new.
33.33.
Any remarks from staff? Remarks from committee members?
How'd everything go this summer, Dan?
You guys pretty happy with everything?
You can never get enough done, Jasper. It's just, you've been in construction. It's knocking on
I'm
the
still
door.
living in it, buddy. I worked through the weekend.
I know, yeah, it just, you can never get it all done, so
Okay.
we keep reprioritizing as the weeks go by.
I know you're pretty good at being fluid with that and running with the right.
We try.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Thanks.
Yeah, and we got a really good staff here.
Any announcements?
No.
Do I have a motion to adjourn? I'll second. All those in favor, say aye.
Right.
Opposed? We are adjourned.